So, welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And if you watched the last video, I was just kind of sharing my day and my thoughts. And I'm thinking I really want to open up my own psychic school. And why? Because I've been playing with psychic stuff since I was a child. And I really don't see myself going any other direction in life. So, what's been a major curiosity is also a talent and a career path. Um, but then also, mainly, I want to help other people who are curious and passionate about opening up their abilities. And psychics are real, telepathy is real, despite what other people say. And I think everyone has a different skill set or will experience it differently. Uh, but you know, it's just it's gonna be my way, like my vision, my perspective. And so there's some things that are truly kind of more like me. Like I think you can have all the psychic abilities without guides. Okay? So you don't have to see and talk to guides to get power or information. I also don't believe in good and evil. Because I don't believe in evil, then in a weird way, I don't believe in good because it's not polarized. I believe the only evil is ignorance. Okay, so so I'd say there there is a logical way, there is a practical way, a simple way to have psychic abilities that don't have to be religious, mystical, good or evil, right or wrong. So we're not gonna play heavily into morality. Uh, you know. So and it's just because we're creating, well, that's my truth. I really don't believe in evil. I believe whatever that thing is misunderstood. Um, so we don't need to label it. For one, we're usually wrong about what we label, anyways. We just don't need to go there. Um, because it's always ignorance. So, anyways, the goal is to allow anyone and everyone to develop their psychic and spiritual gifts without needing to feel special or thinking that you have to be special or thinking that it takes lots and lots of work and practice. It doesn't. But then it may for some people. But that's also the fun. The journey is like it's an adventure. We're exploring. Um, and so this is kind of what it's about. Whew, hold on. So yeah, no like big agenda on grand purpose for humanity working to raise the vibration of the planet and love and light and all that stuff. Like that can be there, but it's not the focus. The focus is you being a human being, exploring your potential. Can you go beyond your five senses of that type of awareness and expand your sixth sense of awareness? And we're not going to be labeling it like clairvoyance and clairaudience and all the clairs. We're not going to get into that because you can read books on that. There's some really good books on developing your psychic abilities. So why go to a class? Why to go to a group, a workshop? Uh, because you get to practice with real people and the group energy can assist you in your development. And the teacher's energy can definitely improve your energy. You can start to, oh, so that's what it feels like. Okay. There's a lot, I call it energetic language, okay? And it's not a fancy word. It's basically energy. And when you start getting familiar with energies, distinct energies, you go, oh, I know what that is. So I know what that is. Oh, I know what that feels like. I start to understand that. Okay, now it's kind of creating a vocabulary, you know? And so it's kind of becomes a language. So today, when I started channeling, uh, so I have a very cool boss, okay? I met him in the past, like when I was 19 in the mall, and a different friend introduced me. He was working at another retail shop. And then I went and had life. Okay. I went and did massage therapies, went around the world, did all kinds of other jobs, whatever. And then during my midlife crisis, I decided to get a mall job. And I went in for the interview, and there was this guy, and he's like, I think I know you. And I was like, dang, I think I know you too. We look totally different than we did 20 years ago, but hi. So I got hired. Then he found out I was into like spirituality, and so then he kind of opened up and said he was into it. Like, he was wanting to develop his skills, and so he hung out with his friends and blah blah blah, happily ever after. Which led to today's experience when one of the coworkers uh basically I channeled her dead parents um, for a little while, kind of when it was super slow. And so when the channeling began and it starts to flow through, I was like, because she didn't know, she's never had a psychic reading. And this is a very, very personal thing. We're going to channel your dead parents, and you're very young, and you should probably have all kinds of stuff you want to talk about. And they may have, so how do I introduce her to this, allow her to have a decent experience without, putting a whole bunch on top of it? Like, how do I make it seem, very casual? Like, oh, yeah. So that's one of my favorite techniques, is to make it all seem casual. And so she was just talking about, maybe we should set up a time and whatever. And then, once you put it out there, hey, I would like a reading, then that energy starts to gather. The spirits come. And so her mother already was with me. So she's like talking. She's like, I'd really like to find out how my parents feel and think about me. And then the energy starts flowing in. So I'm like, well, they're already here. And then I'm like, you should feel this. You should feel like I'm saying they're here. You don't take my word for it. You should feel it physically with your own hands. This is a part of reality. It's not a trip. So she like put her hand near my shoulder. So, and little backstory, we didn't get along. We don't really talk to each other. She has her walls up, I have my walls up. And our supervisor goes, you two are like exactly alike, and so you're not and I'm like, I know, that's why we don't get along, because we're like mirror mirror. So this was an opportunity as well to share a little bit about me. And so we both proceeded with caution. And I was like, you should just feel this. So she put her hand near my shoulder, and she's like, whoa, it's like burning hot. And I'm like, for me, it feels like cold rain, like a waterfall. So that energy is coming in and it's coming down, because that's how I'm experiencing this. So what I am saying is based upon what I am experiencing. And what I am experiencing is this energy too. And so she got it. She's like, okay. So she started to gain an understanding of that energetic vocabulary, a real world of experience of like, this is just someone talking. This is someone channeling. This is someone clearly having an experience, and it's coming through. So that helped create uh, validity, you know. Uh, and so then we just like walked and talked. Then we walked to this like kind of quiet area, and she started going on. And I was like, well, this is what she's saying. And this is so, two-way communication. Then her dad came through. And that was a surprise to me. I haven't done a lot of channeling the dead. I channel my angel all the time because that's fun. And I have my own theories about it. I'm like, this is just me in another dimension. Who knows? But then I also just let it go and let it be. I go, there's a point where logic just has to stop. Reason, formalities, rules, and you just got to let it go and got to let it flow and let it be what it is without thinking about it too much. So anyways, I'm channeling, and this her dad jumps like into my body, boom, connects with me, that energy. And then my legs started, like all the hairs on my legs started to like prickle up, and it was clearly a different energy, and that was new for me. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this is cool. Like, we're just open, exploring. I'm like, would you like to feel that? Would you like to now feel near me? Clearly feel this other energy. She was like, whoa. And then we talked a little bit, and then it was over, And then as a bonus, when he left, uh, it literally felt like someone was peeling something right up and out of my spine, and my head snapped back, and for a moment I was dizzy. And so that whole experience, I'm learning what it feels like physically, energetically. I'm learning how my senses are processing the experience. And so that's all part of energetic language. So, how does that happen? You have to have real clients. And when you do readings, so yes, you can do it over the phone. Yes, you can do it over technology. It's really different to do it in person. Like, there's so many other levels that you're connecting with. You're not like skipping a few of the levels, you know. You're getting all of it through all the dimensions. So being physically present, sharing a space with a group of people can really enhance your abilities. That's actually why people meditate together. So you get into resonance, and we can think, oh yeah, logically it makes sense, but it can go way beyond logic, okay? It can go way beyond it. So that's why retreats are fun, and get-togethers and socializing, creating a tribe of like-minded people can really amplify and boost your power and your energy. And you can literally gain so much knowledge in 2 hours than you could reading 10 books. Uh, so the real deal is the real deal. It's like when I met my guru, I could feel the real deal. Being in her presence was worth 10 volumes, 10 thick books of energetic information and transformation. What we did, we hung out a lot. We would go we would get in her like little SUV vehicle, and we would go to the hot springs all the time. She would shuttle her kids around and play mom and play girlfriend and play these different roles in other people's lives. But what was going on between us was a whole nother level of relationship that could only happen and be transmitted in person. And so I would go to her workshops because she would teach in this little rundown town, in this little rundown metaphysical store, these little workshops for people. And it was so funny because it just is. So there's a lot that goes on. And sharing energy with a living person, physically there, with no walls in between you and them, is an experience of a lifetime. And so it doesn't have to be with me. It doesn't have to be with our group. It could be with anyone. I'm sure you have these experiences. Um, but that is the power of why online classes don't work. Okay. Like why over the phone readings aren't the greatest, why general readings don't really work. You know, having a meet in person can be really intense. It could be mind blowing. Uh, but yes, all the other were all the so I would say all the other things are not the greatest version, not the best option. But will they work? Yes. So it's always up to you. Uh, and I'm learning this as we go as well on different levels. you know. Uh, so, hmm, where are we going with all this video talk? Because I'm just excited to share. Oh, yeah, what I'm kind of building. So, really, what I would like with my school is to share my passion. One of my biggest passions is I call it Heaven's Needle meditation. I have been doing this meditation for 20 years. It's my everything. It's just my way. Uh, and it's nothing, you find this method in every method. So it's nothing original. It's just what works for me. And so I get blissed out on my meditation. It's so freaking simple. I've taught it to hundreds of people already. And you could just call it a very introductory form of energy meditation. So if you're meditating, you're usually focusing on one thing, like your breath or a dot or a mantra or something, a deity, an image, a symbol. I was like, let's just do a 2-for-1 special and focus on energy. Focus on the life force. If you're focusing on the life force, that's one thing. And you're feeling it, you're engaged with it, you're in the present moment. So you're meditating. It's that simple. So with that right there, you can just go ahead and do it. But for me, I found that I love just doing, sit down in a nice place in nature, ground, center, connect, align, feel the energy, be open, receive. And it's such, for me, it's just, it's like something that's like stabilizing. Like you can always count on it. It's always going to be there. And it just kind of builds and builds one brick after the next brick after the next. And pretty soon you got this fortress. And you can leave that fortress and go out and have experiences in the world. But then you can always come back. You can always be like, oh yeah, I remember that fortress I built. Then you go back. Oh, it's kind of a wreck. I guess I can put it back together again. I can sit, I can ground, I can focus, brick after brick, day after day, time after time. Then the energy builds up again, and then you're dialed in and you're like supercharged, feeling awesome. And then you're like, yeah, my world is right. I found my center. I found my peace. I found my bliss. I found my way to dial into source. So, super simple. No magic symbols, no creative history, no invisible gods and angels and deities, no divine assistance, no prophecies, no special purpose, which I think is really good for introductory stuff. If you're going to survive the complexities of what I call the New Age world or the spiritual world, uh, it can be just as crazy as religion. Like, people have their mythologies of Atlantis, people have their agendas. We find so much going on, it can get very overwhelming. People have all this information, and it can get a little heavy on the mind. It's like, do you really need to think so hard? You know, so pretty soon you can find yourself going a direction that you don't want to go. And so it's good to build a foundation. So, really, that's the intention. I want you to know you can have all the power you'd ever want without ever having to pray, without ever having to draw a symbol, relying on an outside source. You get to be the source, and you get to experience it, and you get to learn uh, that you are enough, you know. And it's really not going to be therapy, mirroring and all that stuff, and owning and projecting. I mean, yeah, that may come up as needed, but it's not going to be psychology. It's not going to be religion. It's not going to be magic. It's not going to be mystical. It's going to be practical, realistic. So I'm putting my two passions together: energy work / meditation, which kind of fuses together as just the energy meditation, because I was a massage therapist for 20 years. Uh, you know, so a little side note. So there's obviously that healing vibe running through it. And then there's that spiritual vibe. I've always been really into developing psychic abilities. And it wasn't always about predicting the future. It was about moving objects with your mind. It was about what can I do with this power? Like move an object, like push, pull. What else can I do? Can I levitate? So feats, can I do that? Was really what I was interested in. It just so happened uh, reading is just something you can do with psychic abilities. That's just part of the package. Uh, but what other things can we do? Can we push the envelope? Does it always have to be, you know, kind of like stories, about past lives and things we need to work through and trying to get things? Does it always have to be about manifestation? Like manifesting a lover, manifesting a home, getting, needing, wanting. Like that may be what's needed, but I'm just saying there's so many other cool things: remote viewing, astral projection, lucid dreaming, to name a few. And so all these other elements of the spiritual reality happen, you know, all those things happen, all the gifts, all the possibilities are there. But time and time again, we come back to those very basics. So it's like we don't really live in Harry Potter world. So we don't really have to have a magic wand and a grimoire and a hat to do a spell. And you don't even need magic words. So you don't need a mudra. And you don't need divine blessings from a special person. No one needs to be above you or below you. We can all be equal. The only difference would be natural talent and experience. And you can find your talent and you can gain more experience. And that's the whole point of the class. And then I obviously believe in being healthy. So treating your body right, eating right, and I would believe not taking in toxic substances could only help you achieve your goals. So this is really what the classes are about. And this is also kind of sharing the perspective and where I come from into this mystical, magical world. I didn't live in a house full of witches. I lived in a house full of religious people, and they weren't even good at it. So I could hardly say they were religious. It was just around. But it was up to me to study, research, develop, play, practice. And I just kind of go, when there's fear, there's religion. And when there's religion, there's make believe. Because I just think religion is make believe. Okay. So, one reason why I left my guru is because she couldn't separate herself from religious programming. I was like, well, I gotta go because there is no reason to believe in things. In the end, there's no reason to believe in, you don't have to believe in anything. It either will materialize in front of you and you can say, well, this is what I see. So it's now a fact, or I had this experience, so I know. Okay. So now so faith and belief isn't required. You don't have to believe more. You don't have to have more faith. You don't have to work harder for some type of approval. There's no like morality law on you. It's just you get to work. That's what you get to do. And so obviously connect to the earth. The earth has so much natural energy and power. Uh it's just kind of a given that your body will do better connecting and grounding and centering with nature. Okay? So, clean thoughts, clean air, clean food. So, pretty much when you clean it up, live in a holistic, healthy way, that's just going to help you achieve whatever you want in life. It just so happens it's going to help your nervous system, it's going to help your brain, and you're creating an environment where you can succeed. And that's it. So that's really what's kind of on my mind. So there'll be psychic development and it will be meditation classes. Uh, and then obviously practice and play, where you get to practice channeling or giving a reading, whatever you'll be channeling. Hopefully, it'll just be source energy. Uh, so, yeah, you don't need a higher self to be psychic or to get good information. You don't need assistance from guides, where you don't need to even believe in that. In fact, I would prefer every atheist, every non believer to be the ones in my class, because this is kind of what it's designed for. People who already believe, people who are already trying, well, you can come and develop more, but why go to class then? You know? So I think it's fun to have a wild horse. Have a wild card, have, you know, a non-believer be the one to open that gift for themselves and then realize you don't have to believe. It's just part of the human potential, and they're just gifts that we all have. You don't have to be special. And even with the gifts open, I think it enriches your life, but it doesn't have to improve your life. Like, you don't have to get $1 million. You don't have to get what you want. You don't get the boyfriend of your dream. You don't get to know the future. You may all get all that, but the goal is to just increase your bandwidth, you know, live a better life, a richer life, a fuller life with your awareness. Know yourself more. And then we will end with that cool quote. I went looking for God and only found myself. I went looking for myself and only found God. So, as above, so below, as within, so without. There is no reason for me to teach Kabbalah, astrology, tarot, and all the classical tools of numerology and scrying and all this cool stuff that you learn in the mystery school, when I believe first you must get to know yourself. You are the greatest tool. All these other things, I would call them systems, focusing devices, props. I really want to, and at some level, permission slip, needless information, cool hobbies. Uh, but the real power, the thing that we need to focus on, is developing ourselves. We become the tool. We become the wand. We become the crystal ball. It's us. We become our own angel. We become our own deity. And that becoming is getting more familiar with yourself. That becoming is realizing more and more and more of who and what you actually are. So that is my goal. That is what I teach. That is why I'm here on the planet. And this is what I would like to leave humanity. A little better, you know, a little more gifted, a little more empowered. And that little is enough because that little can be a lot.